It's come to our attention that while Nancy Pelosi got the message, she got the message loud and clear, and we can all remember the image of her handing the Speaker's gavel over to John Boehner. But, you know, Harry Reid didn't get the message. The crowd down the hall in the Senate did not get that message, and with all due respect to the President, he did not get the message. The President did not get the message. And so while we on the House side tried to act on the issues that you all sent us to Washington to act on, whether it's adopting dozens and dozens of bills to create jobs in this country that would reduce the regulatory burden, unnecessary regulatory burden in this country, or whether it is enacting a reasonable and responsible energy policy, one that would not only make our fuel in this country more affordable, give us a stable supply of energy, create tens of thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs in the long run, or whether it is enacting budget reforms, things as common sense, that make as much common sense as anything, a balanced budget amendment. You know, we've done all of our work on the House side, and we sent these things down to the Senate. And remember, this is a place that hasn't proposed a budget in 3 years. 3 years. And what have we gotten? What action have we gotten back? Zero. Zilch. We haven't gotten anything back. And so now, it is our time to finish a job we started 2 years ago. And we've got 18 days, 19 days to do just that. And I know how much I have counted on you. The people of the 5th District have counted on you all to do the work necessary to get the job done 2 years ago. And how hard, you know, frankly, let's not forget last year's elections. You know, if it wasn't for what happened in the 5th District, with the Bryce Reeves race and the Bill Stanley race, you know, Richmond, Virginia wouldn't have a Republican-controlled Senate. That happened right here. That happened right here. So, unfortunately, you know, the good thing is you all have done some really, really good work over the last 2 years, and you got a lot to show for it. Unfortunately, the pressure's on. We've got a lot of work to do in the next 3 weeks. We have a lot of work to do, and I couldn't think of folks that anywhere else that I would want to work alongside of than you all. I think that obviously we need to do everything that we can to make the phone calls necessary. Continue to make those phone calls. We've got to continue to walk the doors. We've got to do the neighbor-to-neighbor letters. We've got to get the signs up. We've got to get the bumper stickers out. But yet, tell you what I think is the most important thing that each of us can do. And we say this every election. You know, if you can make 5 phone calls, then make 10 phone calls. If you can make 10 phone calls, then make 20 phone calls to your neighbors. But this is what I ask you to do. When you think about who you're going to talk to about this election, don't talk to the folks that you know agree with you. That's the easy thing. I mean, it's fun to sit here and have lunch together and talk about all the things that we agree on. You got to talk to the people that are, quote, in the middle. You got to talk to the independent people. And you need to explain to them why this election is so important. And I think you can break it down for the most, you know, the bread and butter issues. Ask them about, do they like paying $4 a gallon for gasoline? You know, that's something that the price of gasoline's doubled under this president. And the policies that he's offered haven't done anything to help. They've made them worse. He's blocked the Keystone Pipeline. He's blocked every effort to have a reasonable energy policy in this country, a domestic energy policy in this country. And the prices are reflective of that policy. There's no mistake about it. Ask your friends if they like paying the electric bill that they're paying. It goes up every month. And the grocery bill that they pay, it goes up every month. It depends on low cost and affordable fuel. That's what you see those prices in the grocery store. And if you want to know what the consequence of having an all-out war on the coal industry is, you'll see that reflected in your power bill. Every month it's just going to get worse under this president. Those are bread and butter issues that everybody cares about. You know, if you're a Democrat, an independent, or Republican, you should be voting. If you care about those issues, you should be voting for Mitt Romney and George Allen and Robert Hurt. I will tell you that I would also ask you to think about a couple other issues. You know, you stop and think about the employment prospects in this country. You know, we've had now 3 years of basically unemployment at greater than 8%. And remember what the president told us. He told us that if we adopted, or the previous Congress adopted the $1 trillion stimulus package, and unemployment wouldn't go over 8, went up to above 10. And there are places in the 5th District that have unemployment at 16%. 16%. Almost 1 in every 5 people unemployed. It's incredible. If people have jobs and they want to, would like to have more take-home pay, you know, if they pay taxes. I don't care if you're a Democrat, an Independent, or Republican. You should be voting with us on those issues. You know, household income in this country has declined under this president. It's incredible. It's incredible that the race is as close as it is. I think, you know, you talk to the seniors who find themselves in the middle, who are probably confused by all the different ads that are running these days. Listen, the only thing that will guarantee to destroy the retirement of the elderly in this country and those who are going to be retiring anytime soon, the only thing that's going to destroy it is going to be allowing it to keep on going the way it's going. And that's what the other side wants to do. They want to stick their head in the sand and pretend that we can just keep on doing what we want to do. And there are those of us who have, on the House side, stepped up to the plate and said, listen, we have a plan to save Medicare as we know it, for everybody who's on it, anybody who's going to be on it in the near future. And then for those of us who are younger and will be on it in the distant future, we need to make some changes. We need to make some changes. So if you're tired of politicians threatening your retirement, then you ought to be voting with us. That's the bottom line. And then the last thing that I would say to my independent friends and to Democrats is that, listen, this president promised to eliminate the deficit, or certainly reduce the deficit. He promised to eliminate the debt. He's added $5 trillion to our debt. And every single one of us in this room, and I would expect if this room was filled with Democrats, everybody in this room would agree that it ain't right. It is not right to hand off $16 trillion in debt to our children and our grandchildren. That's just plain wrong. I think that we have the wind at our back. I was so thrilled to see that debate between Mitt Romney and President Obama last week. As we have traveled across the 5th District, we have seen enthusiasm that is unbelievable and unparalleled. Nick O'Boyle, who works in our Charlottesville office, and I thank you all for being so nice to him. But Nick told me that the enthusiasm, and the number of folks that he's got coming into that headquarters since that debate, he said, it's tripled by 3. That's exciting. But that's what we're going to have as we get down here in the last few days of this race. We're going to have that enthusiasm. So listen, let me just wind up, and I don't know if we have time. I think I probably have some time for questions. But let me just wind up by saying this. Again, thank you for all the work that you did in 2010. Thank you all for all the work that you've done up to this point in this race. And thank you for all the work that you're going to do. I often say, you know, I feel very blessed to be able to represent a congressional trip that has such a proud history. Of course, Thomas Jefferson comes from not far from here. You know, James Madison was the first congressman from Virginia's 5th District up the road in Orange County. James Monroe lived in the 5th District. Patrick Henry, probably behind, I hate to admit this in Charlottesville, but after George Washington, Patrick Henry may be my favorite founder. But he's buried in Red Hill. So it's hard not to be in this position and not be very aware of our history, and not be very appreciative of our history, and very appreciative of our founders, and very appreciative of the fact that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for themselves, for their children. But don't forget, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for each of us. each one of us. And they stepped up to the plate when it was their time. And we all know from our own history, from our own family histories, and from what we know from the history books, that every generation since our founding, every generation has stepped up to the plate when it was their time. That's the American way. That's the American spirit, and that's I think, the American destiny. But now it's our time. Now it's our time. And I would suggest to you the Republic is facing a clear and present danger, and it's now our time to fall in the breach and get the job done. So thank you for letting me be with you. Onward to victory. We've got 18 days, and we're going to have a big, big day on the